Okay, so today we're just going to kind of continue where we left off at. And of course, if you remember what we're talking about here, is the fact that heaven is in charge of everything. And we have to kind of, it's something that we have to come to the realization that that's just the facts of that. And it's all of our scriptures, you know. So we have to pretty much kind of come in line with that mentally to know that as things unfold and they take place in our world, that there is a higher plan, and there's a plan for that. And the plan pretty much is dependent upon what we're doing, what we are going to allow ourselves to be enticed to do, or whatever the situation may be. Now, if you remember last week we were talking, and we had spoken about this previously a few months ago. We pretty much spoke on the different energies, you know, or opposites that pretty much interact with each other to bring forth a common end. Okay? Now, if you remember, there was a time that Yahweh said that he was going to use the hand of Babylon against his people to correct his people, but afterwards he was going to correct the Babylonians. Now, this is the very same plan that is being played out in this whole earth age. There's a people, or an authority, if you will, that have more power than the believers. But those who are the believers, or those who are the ones who are supposed to be the elect, they're like Israel is supposed to be. We have gone astray, and now we're kind of coming back, and the hand of those individuals, by the hand of heaven, was used to correct us through circumstances and situations that we have gone through in our lives because we went south instead of north, or we went left instead of right, whatever. But it's all to bring us to this narrow path, and for us to stay on that. Now, those who are oppressing the people now, or the elects right now, what's happening is the elects are coming out of that. And what's going to be taking place now is after they come out of that, then Yahweh's hand is going to be against those individuals, which are kind of like the Babylonians. Now, so now everything is just interconnected, and everything is interdependent, as we talked about, in this world that we live in, and in everything. And so last week we looked at Job, and we saw in Job that the sons of Yahweh are those who have power, and these are real entities, okay, who you and I are supposed to have power over, or we did at one point. But we have fallen, and based upon the fact that we have fallen in such a low consciousness, they are there now to actually help us to come up. So Satan has a job, and Satan's job is not necessarily a bad job. Satan's job is kind of like the yin and the yang, whatever I told you about, okay, or the left and the right. Now, it's interconnected, and notice that Satan, when Satan came before Yahweh, nobody was afraid. No one was trying to throw Satan out, because Satan is one of the sons. Okay? Satan came to give the report. That this is what I've been doing. And when asked, Satan said exactly what was going on. I was going back and forth in the earth like you told me to. You know? And have you considered my servant Job? Yeah, I saw him, you know, but you know that you put a hedge around that guy, so there's nothing I can do because of what Job pretty much practiced. It's no different with us. Now, so based on what Job practiced, he had protection, a certain protection. But it doesn't mean just because you and I are walking in the right way that everything is going to go the way that we want it to go. Okay? Because everything didn't go the way that Job wanted to go either. Now, what was happening with Job, he was being brought to another state of awareness. But what we do, we like our comfort zones, and we don't like to be disrupted out of our comfort zone. And so, this is what was happening with Job. He was being moved out of his comfort zone, because we can't stay there. We have to move. We have to ascend. And if we're ascending, everything that is in the lower world is not going to be. We can't have that, because it belongs to the lower world. Our understanding has to change. Our perception of what we think we know has to change. Okay? And we have to come to the point that we even trust more than we think we do right now. So this is about to come upon Job. But Job didn't know this. But it was determined already by the watchers what was going to be taking place. So we went through that, and we saw that Satan pretty much did only what Satan had the authority to do. And we also showed that these authorities are on the left hand and the right hand, and just like your left hand and right hand, when you're going to work, you use both hands. You use both hands to balance the job that you need to do, and it's most effective when you're using both hands, the left hand and the right hand. If you're right-handed, okay, which is where the scriptures is kind of coming from, the right hand, okay, you use the left hand to assist what you're doing with the right hand. And this is exactly what the left hand is all about. They're assisting, okay? But both hands is assisting the head, okay? So now, but of course, the right hand is used more because it's to carry out the will of the individual, and the other hand is used to assist the right hand in carrying out that same will. So now, we had gone over to Matthew after we looked through so many different scriptures, okay? And we saw that there were these two different hands, okay? And that the right hand and the left hand, it's for who the right hand and left hand of the only begotten Son, or anybody really, is going to be dependent. Who is going to be on the left hand and the right hand is going to be dependent upon who is above the individual. Now, if you are a supervisor and of a company, and you told that company told you to get their job done, and they are going to give you people to assist you, they're going to determine who the people are going to be that are going to assist you, unless they gave you the authority to go get those people. Okay, so when they give you those, when you get into that job and they tell you exactly what the situation is, they'll tell you, these guys over here do this thing here, and these guys over here do another thing over here, and you use them. You use them to get the job done that we want you to get done. And so you go ahead and you use these guys. These guys now become an extension of your person. They're outside of you, but your mind, okay, based upon what your mind is creating or cultivating, and those instructions that you have been given, those individuals have now become extensions of your mind. And your mind is an extension of that which was above you. It's how the Spirit is actually coming down and moving out to people. So the left hand and the right hand are out there, and they're being used. Now, in Matthew 13, we have looked at Matthew 13, okay? And if you remember, these hands are elementals, okay? Or what we call angels or spirits or demons. They're all different categories of them, and of course, the Bible talks about them in these different manners. But of course, the way that we've learned them in the scriptures, a lot of times we think that if it's a demon, it's bad, but it's actually your scripture speaks about unclean demons. So if it speaks of unclean demons, it got to mean that there may not be everything that's a demon that's necessarily unclean, because these are unclean because of the minds that are actually causing those to move and do whatever they're doing. So in Matthew 13 here, and verse 39, we're going to take that verse, okay? We went there last week, but we're going to go there again this week. Let's look at verse 37. He answered and said to them, he who sowed the worthy seed is the Son of Man. The field, and what he's doing right now, he is giving you the keys to unlock what the scriptures are saying. Okay? Okay, so he says here, he who sowed the worthy seed is the Son of Man. The Son of Man, those who are builders of mankind. So they're the ones who are sent into this world to raise our understanding, okay, to give us another level of knowledge. And they have received that from what you would call the 24 elders or the showbread, the food that's in the temple. Okay? So now it says the field is telling you what the field is. It is the world. This is the field. The worthy seeds are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. It's telling you what the wheat and the wheat and the tares are all about. Okay? It says the enemy that sowed them is the devil. But this devil is not necessarily against you and I. Yes, in this world, that's what it's going to seem like, because the wheat and the tares have to grow up together until it's time for the harvest. Because the wheat is then going to be selected and they're going to be used for food to energize others. But the tares are going to be found out at that time, and the tares are not ready to be processed in that manner. They're not even fit to be processed in that manner because they don't have what it takes to give that energy. But these aren't weeds, guys, because weeds, you take the weeds out of the garden. These are tares. Tares are a kind of plant that looks like a wheat. The only difference with that and the wheat, and why they have discovered it when it's time for the harvest, is because the tares did not bring forth any grain. Okay, only the wheat brought forth food, the tares didn't. So when you go to do the harvest, you're cutting down everything to get the wheat. So you're not going to do anything with the tares because you're only going to get the grains of wheat. You're not even going to get the plant that the wheat came on. So everything is going to go down except for the wheat. Okay, so now this enemy has planted these fake things in there, and at the end of the age, what you have now is time for a harvest. Okay? Okay, so now it says the field is the world, the worthy seeds are the children of the kingdom, and the other guys are the ones that have been used by the one who goes through and forth throughout the earth to seek who they could devour. Well, they have to set up traps. And these traps are going to get those of us who don't follow the instructions. Now, you ever seen a lion moving through the jungle? Okay? Some of these lions, they work together. Okay? And they look for the weak ones. And when they move together with pride or whatever, they attack together and they set things up so they could actually get a prey. They try to scare everybody and try to get somebody to move off by themselves, and then they gang upon that guy, and of course they got themselves a meal. Well, the same thing is happening with myself and you, because these spirits are wanting a meal. The meal that they want, guys, remember, food of the Spirit. Yes, food of the Spirit. Food of the Spirit, you have love, kindness, compassion, mercy. So this is one food of the Spirit. But you could have hatred, complaining, bitterness. That's also food. It's not food of the positive spirit. It's the food of the other spirit that's hold us down. So this is also food. These guys, they do their thing, and they get you and I in the place of complaining and bickering and fighting each other, and that's food also. Okay? So this is what they're here to do. That's what they're here to do, and they get you in a place, they put their fangs in us, and they're constantly sitting there eating. Now, once your energy starts changing, they don't like your flavor anymore. You don't taste good to them anymore, and they get their fangs out. Okay, and so they try to come at you a different way to get you back down into the place where they could feed again, but you don't want to be there. So now it says the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is at the end of the age. It's not the end of the world, because there's not going to be that for a very, very, very long time, if ever. Okay? But the end of the age. The earth goes through earth ages. Just like you and I go through ages, birthday ages, cycles every year. Well, the earth goes through, I think it's maybe something like every 75,000 years or every 25,000 years, the earth goes through the same thing. Okay? And it says, and the reapers are the Malachim. Well, the reapers are not going to be doing things that we think we like. You think about when the sickle goes to the standing grain, this is a traumatic time for the plant. It's being cut down. Then that plant is being taken and it's being beaten on stone or whatever they beat on for the ears of grain to come off. So the reapers are not necessarily going to be doing something that you and I think that we're going to be liking. And just preparation. This is why through much tribulation you and I will enter into the next abode. But there has to be trouble. It's just what is. Okay? So we have to prepare ourselves for that, because that's part of what comes at the end of the earth age. There is a birth. And you ask any woman who has children, unless she has no nerves or whatever the case is, it's not going to be something that's painless. It's going to be some pain involved in it, or a lot of pain involved in it. Okay, so it says in 40, just as the tares, and this is the false wheat, and this is the wicked ones. Now, the wicked ones are not necessarily evil people. They could be, but they're those people who are not going to just follow the instructions. If you remember the parable of the talent, we talked about this before. One guy got one talent, and what he did, he didn't invest it like he was told to do, or that should have been done. What he did, he buried it into the earth. I mean, he squandered it into a worldly living or a lifestyle, or whatever, or something contrary to what he could have done for his master. When his master came, he tried to say, okay, I knew you were this, I knew you were that, so I buried it. Here you go. Here, I'm gonna give it back to you. Okay? And if you notice what his master said, he said, "You wicked servant," because that servant was about himself. He wasn't about the master's or the ruler's business. It was about himself. Okay, so this is what the wicked people are. The wicked people, okay, are pretty much defined as those who are about self-serving. And so that's what caused us to fall in the first place. It was when we weren't about the master's or the ruler's business anymore. We were about our own thing. So this is where Adam and Eve had the issue, because we didn't want to follow certain instructions. We went about looking after our own knowledge and our own pleasure. We saw that something was pleasure for our own eyes, and we went to mess with that. We look at the same thing that goes down to Cain and Abel. Cain was about his brother. Cain was about self. So Cain's sacrifice could not have been accepted, because it's about self. However, the spirit that we're off, we have to know what spirit we're off, because the spirit that we're off is one. Yahweh is one. It's about the unification. It's about taking care of the next person. It's about service to others. So this is what we're talking about. So these tares don't do this, okay? Or they may do it now and then, but it's not really something that's really, really deep in there. Okay, just as the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so will it be at the end of the age. And the only reason why the tares are going to be burned, and you are not, or myself are not, if we do certain things, is because tares and the trash and all that stuff is not the wheat. It's not the kernels of wheat. So one thing is going to be burnt, and it's going to go back to the ground, the earth, from where it came. The other one is going to be processed, and it's going to be eaten, and it's going to become energy for something, a higher lifestyle, okay, or a higher consciousness. That's the difference with that now. So this is something that the spirits or the watchers from above, they are determined to bring this forth in the earth, and it doesn't matter what we do. It's not going to change. It's just the end of the age, and we're going to go through the reaping, the harvest. Harvest has to come. So there's nothing we're going to do to change that. So those who are being used by the left hand, they're being used by the same one that's using the right hand, okay, to bring forth the process. Okay, so now it says, the Son of Man will send out his Malachim, and they will gather out of his kingdom all who cause others to fall away, it says here. But really, this is just those who are offending, or these are outlaws. That's all it's really doing. Those who can't really function with the body. If you remember the children of Israel, okay, who did Yahweh remove out of the camp? Moshe. Okay? Of the children when Moshe was directed in. And even when Yahshua ben Nun took over. Notice what it told you. He said he removed the rebels. He took out the rebels because the rebels, they're not going to allow you to form the government that Yahweh wants you to form. They're going to be at odds with something. Okay, if you remember Korah, and many other people in there, okay, but Korah still stands out really highly as one who was, he understood a lot. And he said to Moshe, he said, who do you think you are to put yourself over these people? Well, you can't work with that guy because that guy's already set himself up to challenge you. Okay, so you can't work with that guy in what Yahweh is trying to do, so Yahweh has to remove Korah. Someone has to remove Korah because Korah is not going to work with everybody else. Korah goes on to say, you know, all the people are holy. Well, was Korah wrong? Well, he wasn't wrong. Because if you really look at it, everybody is simply in a vessel right now, but that's not who they really are. They're really all holy because they're all children of the Most High, period. So they're all special. I'm special, but no more special than you are. You're special, but no more special than the other guy. We're all children of the Most High, and we're all simply in this earth right now in a home. We won't have this home forever. That's all it is right now. So, yes, Korah is right. They're all holy. But Yahweh was using Moshe to lift up the people. He wasn't using Korah, and Korah didn't know that. So Korah ended up leaving the congregation. Of course, you know, how it spoke is that, well, the earth opened up and swallowed everybody up, whatever, all of his people. Well, I mean, whether that happened or not, I don't really think that's a deal. But pretty much the earth is the world. The earth is that which is outside of the covenant of Yahweh. Okay? And that's where Korah's mind was. So Korah pretty much did his own thing at that time. It wasn't part of the children of Israel anymore as far as what Moshe was directed. So this is part of the issue that Moshe was dealing with, because you had the left hand that was creating pressure for Moshe and the children of Israel, and everywhere they went doing things, there was pressure. They had a headwind to deal with, okay, in this field that they were moving through. So all those who would create offense for what the plan was that Yahweh wanted Moshe to do, they all had to pretty much get taken out. Until when they were all out, then the children of Israel all of a sudden was able to go into the promised land, which was considered being considered going through that which is going to be further into the harvest. But those who were against the plan, they were being used by spirits. Now, no one could say, well, they're bad or they're good. No, they just wasn't for what Moshe was being used for. Okay? They just weren't being used, or they just wasn't ready for what Moshe was doing. So they had to do something different. Okay, so now we go a little further now. Okay? Of course, it says, those who cause folks to fall away and those who break the law of Yahweh. Okay, so here in 42 now it says, and will cast them into a furnace of fire. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And of course, we've heard that from when we were very young, that this is hell. We're all going to get thrown there if we don't do the right thing that the church tells us to do. And we're going to be crying because flames are going to be upon us. Okay? Well, everyone is tried. Okay? Everyone is tried. Your trial comes first, but after you who were tried first have been moved into another area of consciousness, then what is left for those who were creating the issues for you is what you were going through early, fire. Okay? So the children of the wicked one was the fire. And they were doing all kind of stuff. There was a Babylon that was used to correct the children of Israel. Okay? So they put the children of Israel through fire, and you have to go through fire too. But the children of Israel, going through the fire of the Babylonians, they will also have the spirit, supposedly, which is the law and the prophets of the Father. So they had fire and in both of those areas. The Malachim fire, and they have the Malachim left-hand fire from the adversary. Being used, both hands being used from above to fix the children of Israel, to get them straight. Same thing has been done at the end of the age. Now after that, then the hand came upon the Babylonians. A hand came on the Babylonians and put them through the fire. Well, the same thing is going to be taking place, because those who are service to self, and they're enslaving you and doing all kind of stuff, they have to get their reward with people who are like that, or entities who are like that. That's what the rewards are. Remember the rewards. Those who are going to be children of the kingdom, they're going to have their rewards with those who are of that frequency. And then the other guys, they're going to have their reward with the whoremongers and this and the bad guys. So it says. So there's going to be a separation. And this is how it is. They're taking those guys out of the kingdom, and the kingdom's earth is ascending, and those who are able to ascend with her, they're going to go. But the other guys, they're not going. They won't be going. Okay? Not with the earth. Because the earth is going to, remember, spew them out. This is all part of what happens. Okay, so now in 42, we see that there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. Everybody goes through this fire. It says, then the righteous will shine forth like the sun in the kingdom, because you won't have all these hazy darkness in there anymore. It won't be there. They could shine now because there's no storm clouds. So the sun could shine through. You don't have all the darkness anymore. Okay? Of their Father. Now he who has ears, let him hear what that Spirit is telling you and I. Okay, so now we're going to move on a little further. Okay, to Luke. We left off, I think, at Luke. Okay? And Luke chapter 12 is where we're going to go to now. So Luke chapter 12, and we're going to start, I think, in verse 58. Let's try 58 first. Okay, 12 and verse 58. And this says, settle a controversy quickly. It says, when you go with your opponent to the magistrate, On your way, make every effort to settle with him. Otherwise, he may bring you to the judge. Now, the magistrate and the judge are obviously not the same. They're rulers and different types of rulers. Okay? The judge is going to be the one who is going to look at the characteristics of men and reward you and I accordingly, based upon what the situation is. Well, the magistrate is like is like an authority too, but it's like the first entrance of a court. In Texas, you have what you call justice court. Then you have, I think, county court. Then you have district court. That's a state court, I guess. And then you go to Supreme Court. Okay? Okay, so now the guys at the justice court, they don't know a whole lot. Not as a district court does. But this is the first one that you're going through, because they're going to hear the issue that's going on, that you have with somebody else. Now, it has settled that situation, so the magistrate don't have anything to say to move you further into any kind of corrective mode. But so if we settle that situation, then we're good. Everything is set in the place that it should be. If we don't settle this whole thing down, okay, he brings you to the judge. And the judge may hand you over, because he's going to make a decision now, to officers. Now, these officers, pretty much, are going to be that which either on the left hand or right hand. And those who are going to do something that's not going to work in our favor, or do what we want to. Because the judge could order something that is great for you, which will be the right hand, or the judge could make an order to lock you and I up, which will be the left hand of the judge. It's all coming from an extension of the judge. So the judge has authority to say, do this, do that to others who are under its jurisdiction or his jurisdiction. Okay, so now the judge now may turn us over to officers, and the officers are going to follow the judge's orders. Put the guy in prison. Well, this is the same kind of thing that's happening when the end of the age comes. This is determined from above. At the end of the age, whatever is taking place is taking folks out of the kingdom, and these guys are going to be in a prison. Those who are doing well, they're on their way to be released from a prison. Because remember it said, they're going to be able to shine forth in the kingdom of their Father. So they're going to finally be able to shine. One scripture tells it to us like this: you're going to go out, dancing and prancing like calves released from a stall, because there's going to be freedom for one. Meanwhile, the other one is going to find themselves under a certain restriction. And this is all determined from above. Okay, so we're looking at this. So now it says, I tell you, you will never leave there until you have paid the very last cent. Or you and I have paid the last penny. What he's really saying there, we're not going to go anywhere until we have brought forth balance. They have to be balanced. So if we are offended, then the system is the same thing. They create offenses for us, and what do? They charge us money. Money that they create, and of course, this is a value in this system. So when you do something to make it right, usually you have to pay money to make it right. Okay, well, if you're going to go into the jailhouse, usually there's some kind of money going on, and if you don't have any money, well, then they get a court-appointed lawyer for you, but you're still paying a price. There's still a price to pay. And so in the society, which is very unforgiving, there is really no balance that you're going to come to, because we're under the oppression of man, if you will. We're under the oppression of that which we saw with Cain. There is no looking out for the brother. Okay, it's taking advantage of the brother. So that's what we find ourselves in there. Now, what I want you guys to do, I want us to go over to another scripture here. Okay, and this scripture is going to be in Matthew 8. Okay. Okay. So if you remember, okay, Yahweh is dealing with Satan here, and Yahweh is like this judge. Okay, now of course Eob didn't do anything necessarily right there, but Satan is coming up now, and Satan is given the charge to do something to Eob. This is the left hand of the judge. Okay? Who could say do this, or which is do this, which is negative, or do this, which is positive. So Satan comes up, and there are a whole bunch of other sons, but Satan is obviously going to be on the left hand, because Satan is coming with charge, and Satan is being used to assist in bringing forth some kind of correction, but this correction is not necessarily something that's going to be hunky-dory for you and myself. Okay? So the charge was given, or the order was given, like a judge, to do whatever had to be done with Eob, and it went forth in that manner. Now, what I would like us to do is go over to Matthew 8. Okay? Because this is something that is happening above, and it has always been that way, obviously. And we have to come to the realization that this is simply it. Okay, this simply is, and we have to function, get our minds to start seeing it or perceive it in this manner, and know how to work our lives so that everything that we create around us is going to be for the benefit of the individual. Okay? Now, when I say for the benefit of us, it doesn't have to be something that we like. Because just because it's for the benefit doesn't have to be something that we like or we want. Okay? So whatever happened to Eob was for his benefit, but he didn't like everything. Okay? And he went through years of what he felt was suffering and pain, but it was for his own benefit. At the end, he learned a lot, and he had more than he ever had, and he was already a rich man. Of course, this is not for earthly riches. The riches that you really want is to have life and have it more abundantly. This is the real life. Okay. Okay. So in chapter 8 of Matthew, we're going to look at verse 8. Okay? So now Yahshua had entered into this particular city, and somebody came and was saying, well, his servant was really, having some issues, whatever. And so Yahshua said to the man, okay, I'm going to come and heal him. Because the word had gone around that Yahshua was a great healer. Now, Yahshua said, I'll come over there and heal him. Because that's what Yahshua would do. He would go here and go there, and he would do things, and the energy from Yahshua would reach out to other people. It was like electricity, and moving out into their field, it would touch their field and energize that person's whole field. Okay? Now, the situation is, when you and I are believing something, we could attract that energy. If you and I are not believing it, then it's hard to receive that thing. If we want to receive something, but we're rejecting that thing, there's some conflicts right there. So we really can't get it. It's not really easy to get. Okay, so here we're looking at verse 8. After Yahshua said, I will come and heal him. Notice what it says in verse 8. The centurion answered and said to Yahshua, Teacher, I am not worthy enough for you to come under my roof. But speak the word only. Well, if he spoke the word, what's going to be happening if you speak the word? Okay? If you speak the word and I'm expectant of getting something and you have the power to move the word, what happens? Because there are those on your right-hand side and those on your left-hand side that you have the power to order because they were your servants anyway. Now, because of where we have fallen to, there are parents now. There are nannies. But when we have come to the consciousness of who we really are, then they work for us again. Remember, Yahshua said in the scriptures, "Give to me that which I had from the foundation of the world." He was already grown, but he fell to where he was. Okay? So if he doesn't get what he had from the foundation of everything, that's before the earth was even in session. It's his power that created the earth. Okay? So he moved off into another dimension and other densities. So here we go. Now you are the same thing. You're just imprisoned, and I'm just imprisoned right here now, and we think everybody that we see is somebody else, not knowing that we are part of the same. Okay, so the centurion now says, okay, for you to come over there, I wouldn't be comfortable. Just speak the word, I believe this, and he's going to be healed. So notice what he said next. He says, "For I am a man that's under authority, and having a soldier under me who is already under authority." Now, take it back to the temple. In the temple, you have the 4 living creatures, but they're under the authority of that which is in the most holy place. And that which commands them is the Word, which are the Logos, or which you call the only begotten Son. Well, their authority is over the lamp, the 7 lampstands, which is in the presence of the Father, but they are elementals too. And the 7 lampstands, their light, they give orders to the 24 elders, which are the ones who carry the food of the Father from on high into the earth. So this is the same thing that we have. Okay? This authority, that's over authority, and these guys don't squawk and squabble with each other when the word is given, because it's a plan and they're all one. It functions just as a body. You would stand up and say, okay, well, I'm going to the bathroom right now, and all your members, if you're well balanced, they all get up and say, yeah, we're all going. Just give us the word. Toes move, legs move, knees move, everything, they get you there. Okay? Body bobs move, they do this thing, whatever case is, and your hands move, and you come back out. They work together. Nobody is going to be telling you, well, man, listen here, I don't feel like going today, man. Get somebody else. The scripture tells us now, it tells us if we have that issue, we're not in accord. And then the same thing that the children of Israel happened to the children of Israel as they were going through the wilderness. The rebels had to be removed. Yahshua told you the same thing. Okay? He says if your eye, your right hand, whatever the case is, if it offends you, you have to get rid of it. Because it's better for you to go in there maimed, okay, than for you to have that member with you. It's the same thing that Moshe laid down, or the same thing that was happening with Moshe out in the wilderness. Yahshua is saying the same thing. That which causes division in you, okay, or imbalance in you, it can't go if you're seeking balance, because that's the source of imbalance. Okay, therefore, a kingdom that's divided against itself, it can't stand, because the imbalance in it is going to cause it to topple over. So here we go. He's a man under authority. He has those who are under him. He says, now, I say to this man, go, and he goes. The right hand or left hand is an order. Whichever one he's going to say go. And to another, come, and he comes. and to my servant, do this, and he does it. These are extensions of him. But he is an extension of others, or another, that gives him orders. And so whatever he's doing, and or whatever he's putting into his extensions, his right and left hand, is not only his, but is from that which is above him. We have the same thing happening with us. Everything that's happening on the earth is from above. Nothing is happening unless it has been determined from above. Okay? Okay, so here we go now. Okay, so now listen to Yahshua. So this man is telling you of how things are in the earth with him. And Yahshua said this now. When Yahshua heard this, he was marveled and said to those who followed, truly I say to you, I have not seen such great faith, understanding of how things work. No, not in Israel. Understanding of how it happens, how it's set up. Well, you and I have seen this for years in the scriptures. We read over it, and we probably just kept going. But you and I, when we are set and balanced, we are all of a sudden grown. When we're not seeking attention to ourselves and creating a whole bunch of imbalances, where we have the spirit of oneness and to assist others, when we have that and we're seeking our Father and following those instructions, you and I are going to come to the place that we all of a sudden start waking up into our sonship. And as we wake up into our sonship, then certain things are given to us. It's already there. You simply walk into your inheritance. It's already what you have. Okay, you already have this. Okay? So we're gonna walk into this inheritance, and when we have this inheritance, then we could also say, hey, elemental that takes care of this, you go there and heal this guy. Elemental who spanks those, you go over there and you spank them. Just like those who made the decision, we look at Ahab, to cause Ahab to fall. Of course, you're not going to do it while you're in this place right now. Remember Yahshua said if he wanted the elementals to come and get him off the stake while he was on there, he could have. But then he said, but how would the job that I came here to do get done if I keep running from it? If I don't want myself to go through it? So he was a servant that would do exactly what he was told to do, and he didn't regret his life because he knew more. He knew that it wasn't a big deal. He knew he was going to be born into another existence. Okay, and he knew he was going to be removed from the apartment that he had. That's it. So the apartment, he was evicted, and he went on. The body went back down to where it came from. It's okay. We got to see it this way, guys. We got to see it this way. Okay? If you think about how the apostles came to the point that they were all of a sudden so not afraid of dying after a while. What did they get? They got an understanding that there was more than this. Okay? Of course, no one wants to go through the pain of dying, when you are dying in pain. No one wants to do that. But if you're going to be quick, whatever, hey, it's almost welcoming to leave this place right here. If you could get to the area that now you could move back and forth in and out, because you're going to come to that point, I can't say when, okay, but if we are balanced, and we got all our faculties together, we're going to be able to leave this place and have life and have it more abundantly by leaving planet Earth, okay, and coming back into it without a spaceship. That's who you were before. And at the end of everything, You and I are going to be going back to that, whether we are going to be part of the first fruits around in this harvest to the land, or whether we're going to be part of the next part that's going to be to those who come out of here during this time. Okay? Whether we're going to be the ones who are going to be healed, or whether we're going to be the ones who are going to be doing the healing. But we definitely don't want to be one of the ones who are going to be in perdition. Okay, so in Matthew 5:25, okay, Matthew 25. Let's look at this now. We have read this before too, but we're going to go there. It says now, in verse 31, it says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory, with all the holy Malachim with him. Now, the Son of Man is the one who is going to build in mankind, but the Son of Man has servants now. Because the Son of Man has faculties, and now the Son of Man is mature. He's grown. Okay, so he's here to build mankind up. So he comes in his glory, or the authority in which he has, and he comes with the Malachim. The Malachim are his servants. He has full authority over his servants, the elementals. Okay, but when he comes, he's doing a job for that which is above him. He's not coming as the supreme boss. No, he's coming because he has been given charge to do something at a particular time, and he's carrying out that charge. Okay, so it says, then he will sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him will be gathered all people, and he will separate them one from another, just as a shepherd separates his sheep from the goats. Separation has to be that. All those who cause offense or others to fall away, remember one scripture said that? Then he plugs those guys out, because those guys are going to be off the goats, if you will. Because if you have goats before, goats, they're very hard to deal with. They're not like sheep. Okay. So now the same thing with the children of Israel, as Moshe was directing them, Yahweh said that he removed the rebels. The rebels. Okay, so this is it now. The same thing is happening at the end of the age. Now, don't look at it as, well, there's a great white throne judgment there, and everybody on the planet is in a line waiting to be judged. It's not like that. Okay, it's taking place as situations are taking place right now in the earth. You have the activities of the Malachim, who are creating what we would call chaos with those who could be used to bring chaos. But it's necessary at the end of the age to bring you and I through much tribulation. And this is all something that is given from above already. Okay, so now there are going to be those who are the elect who are going to be protected in a certain manner. This is also what has been given from above. But the left hand and the right hand, they're going to work together. So before everyone is being gathered, now this separation is coming. And he will set the sheep on his right hand, so whatever commands from the right hand, the sheep is going to begin. Okay, so the sheep is going to be dealing with the Malachim, because he's coming with his Malachim, the Malachim on the right hand and the left hand. So when he says to the Malachim, well, when he says to the servants, you go on the right-hand side, the right-hand side is with those who are the Malachim on, or the frequencies that's on the right-hand side. Okay, then it says, but the goats on the left. Well, the goats are stubborn. They don't really do, what would be best beneficial for the kingdom. So they go on the side of the left hand, and the left hand are of those Malachim, or angels, that are being used to create issues like Satan was doing. Okay? So now those who are taking on the frequency of this negative spirit or the negative left hand, their reward is going to be with that. That's their reward. Because they're being separated left and right hand. Now, remember what the judge did. The judge said, Yahshua said, if you go to a judge and there's some issues that you have, you're going to be in prison. That's where we're going to be. And no getting out until we bring balance. So they're actually going there to learn balance. They're going there to be retrained on what really, really needs to be taking place for them to come back and actually function as someone who can function properly in this universe and bring folks back to the Creator. So they're going to be retrained. And it's going to take a long time. It's not just like you and I right now go from day to day, whatever. No, it may take 6,000 years. It may take 25,000 years until the end of the next age. So that's something that we're going to look at in other messages going forward, hopefully. Okay. So now in verse 34, it says, then the king will say to those on his right hand, come you blessed of the Father, inherit the kingdom. Notice, it was prepared for you from the foundation of the world, because it was yours from the foundation of the world. Give to me what I had from the foundation of the world. That's what Yahshua said, and he got it. Okay? Well, those who are going to be, they call it resurrected, okay, but the first fruits unto Yahshua and the only begotten Son, if you will, okay? These individuals right now, they're going to, they have this already prepared for them, because that's where they were in the first place. They were individuals who had this power way before. Now they're going to be waking back up to that. They're going to be redeemed to that. This is the redemption of their bodies, okay, if you will. In verse 35, for I was hungry, notice the attitude that they have, and you gave me food. Oh, I was thirsty, and you gave me drink. I was a stranger, and you took me in. It's all things that Yahweh wants us to pretty much do. Okay? Food, the food of the Spirit. Drinking, pour yourself out onto the work that your Father actually gave you. Okay? And everyone really is a stranger, because when you come to an understanding of what's going on, you have to help them, so they're no longer strangers outside of the covenant. You have to help them to become part of that covenant again. Because this is why they're estranged. Because they have fallen away from doing what the Father said. The whole world is like this now, guys. If you remember, the Zadok priesthood, they were the ones who were accepted to go and rule in the temple. And the reason why they were accepted, because they were the only ones who did not go astray, like the rest of the children of Israel. They're the only ones. Now, if you remember, some of them went to the Queen of Heaven, and they said, well, we're going to hang out with the Queen of Heaven and make cakes to her, because since we started doing stuff for her, we were doing really well, and then now you tell us to go serve Yahweh again, and everything started going bad. So we're going back to the Queen of Heaven. Sorry, Yeremia. This is all part of going astray. Today, guys, it's been set up for us to go astray. All kind of pleasures around us to go astray. And that's the easy way to catch it. But you have all these spirits that have come to you also and try to tell you all these enlightening deals that's going on. Oh, this is this, this is that. And they are just wanting to catch you in the right place to take you off so you won't be like the Zadoks. Just take you off. So they get you along to this place that we're receiving a lot of understanding, whatever. Okay? And we start seeing, and then we step off course. This is what they were told to us, though. It says in the last days, there'll be all these messiahs. Things that's going to come to save you. Well, it's not just going to be people who come into me and you say, listen here, I am anointed to save you. It's going to be all these people who have understanding, who could initiate you into higher orders or whatever with other spirits, that you can start seeing something, and all of a sudden we've become Alistair Crowley. We're falling off. We have gone somewhere else. When you start understanding, okay, the same spirit that is wanting you to follow is the same spirit that is allowing these other spirits to come. Because it's going to teach you with those very same spirits. At the same time, it comes to test you to see if you're going to follow like Zadok or whether you're going to go off the path. This is determined from above. The same spirit, the same one who determined for you and I to come to another understanding or a greater understanding, same one who sends those seducing spirits. And if you're looking for knowledge, yeah, we'll get that knowledge because the same one who wants you to get knowledge has given those guys to you to give you knowledge. It's the same one who's allowing the test to come to you too. And the test to come to me too. That we will not stay our course. But all of a sudden we get up into what we want to do. Oh man, this is great. Let me go and wander over here and wander over there. And then when the day comes, guess what? They're looking for Zadoks. But we weren't Zadoks. We want to stay being Zadoks. Stay the course. Okay. So you were naked and all these things, other people were, and you were helping them. You were bringing them the covenant. You were pouring yourself out to this. This is your energy. Okay? And you were bringing them back into the covenant. And the covenant is simply them understanding of what they should be doing to get back to where they came from. That's our job here. That's the only job we have here. Solomon told us, okay? Reverence Yahweh, that's the only duty. Just do what Yahweh says. Because Yahweh is in here and dispatched us in here for us to get others out after they fell. But we didn't do what we were supposed to do either. So guess what? We fell. And we fell under the same issues that the other guys did. Yahweh is still trying to get folks out. Okay? But the thing is, if you notice, in the scriptures, Yahweh didn't force anybody to work for him. Okay? The only time you would force that person to work for you is when that person would agree to something. If you notice, the children of Israel had to say all that Yahweh said we will do. And then they were under that deal. Moshe, believe it or not, came into that area with the burning bush. Because everyone has to do it by free will. Moshe could have at any time stepped off and said, "No, I'm not going to do it." But once you're moving in a certain area and you have come under subjection of this child, this supervisor or this parent here, that parent, if you're a child of that parent now, it's going to cause you to do what has to be done. So now, those who came in here and fell and they're being woken up to get folks out and they come to that realization, they know who their parents are right now. And they have come back under that covenant in something that they have done. The children of Israel all left Egypt, and Yahweh said to them, "This is what I got for you." And they said, "All that Yahweh said, we will do." Okay, so that's what they said. When Yahshua ben Nun was going into the promised land, same thing. He said, "I'm going to serve Yahweh. You guys have been hanging out with me all these 40 years, whatever, plus." Okay, Moshe left, now I'm the one here. Same thing. He says, "I'm going to follow Yahweh and do what Yahweh says. You could do what you want to do. Okay, this is your chance to count your losses." And they were like, "Okay, we're going to go with you, Yahshua." So they came under the same thing. Okay? Now, when the people did not want to do what Yahweh said to do with Solomon, not Solomon, Samuel, what did Yahweh say? Yahweh didn't say beat their heads in. He said, give them what they want because that's their desires, the desires of their hearts.
the desires of their hearts. Give them what they want, but this is what's going to happen to them. Well, those things are already set to come about because of their own actions. So you already knew certain things were going to take place based upon their own actions. Because they no longer wanted Yahweh to be their director. And if they don't want Yahweh to be the director, well, he's not going to be like, well, I want to be the director anyway. No. He's moved off. He's moved on. However, he sends those in here who are going to follow his directorship because he knew these other children that he had don't know what's going on. They're estranged. They're strangers when it comes to the covenant. So they're here to get these guys back integrated into the covenant. That's what they're here to do. So I'm going to read these last scriptures right here, and I'm going to go ahead and close for today. Okay, so now, then he says, I was in prison. Okay, in 36. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. These are all spiritual things, and I'm just talking about, physical, stuff like that. It's talking about spiritual things. We're all in prison, believe it or not. Okay? We're all naked. Okay? Just as when Adam and Eve found out that they were naked. We're in the same place. Okay? We have, Adam and Eve was naked, and there was no shame. There was no error. There was no sin. Okay? They had no shame. All of a sudden, they found out they were shamed. No, they found out that they had gone in an errant manner. That's what their nakedness was all about. Then the righteous will answer, and of course, this is a scenario that people don't really understand what he's talking about. Okay, so now let's look at verse 40. After these guys, when did we see you like this? We never saw you like that. When? So he goes to them in 40. And the king will answer and say to them, truly I say to you, when you did this for one of the least of these, my brothers, you have done this to me. Now this king is going to be, this is relative, because the king is the son of man, but the son of man has someone over him. And the king sets up those on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, okay? But remember that same king says, if not, okay, so these are the ones that he has chosen for this ordeal right now. You go to my left-hand side, and you go on my right-hand side here. These are the ones that he's chosen to be there. But now there's going to be another authority that's going to be above that, that's going to decide the final of what's going to be on the right hand and left hand amongst those. We'll get into that a little bit later, because I don't want to confuse the matter right now. Okay. Then he will say to those on the left-hand side, verse 41, okay, go away from me, you accursed ones, into the fire. Notice when? At the harvest. At the end of the age, prepared for the devil and his angels. That was way long ago. That was also part of the creation. The left hand and right hand of the Supreme is simply moving. Okay? So, if there's creation, guess who did it? If there's a devil, and the angel is a devil, there's one creator. There's one creator. It can't come into existence unless the creator wants it to come into existence. It can't function on any level unless that creator wants it to function on that level. We saw Satan. Satan could not do anything outside of what Satan's boss said. Period. Well, all these are given authority based upon what's above. They're all given authority based upon what's above. There's nothing that takes place that has not been determined from above. So we're going to go ahead and close there for today, and we'll go ahead and pick this back up next week.